Today I'll talk about the best Prebuilt gaming PCs from NewEgg in February 2022. Now NewEgg is one of the best websites to buy Prebuilt gaming PCs that are reliable, so I'll give you guys 6 different options to choose from. Some of them are going to be for 1080p gaming on a budget, other PCs are going to be for 1440p, and then at the end I'll talk about the highest end 4K gaming desktops. Of course there are going to be different budgets, and if your budget is not on this list, let me know in the comment section and I will reply with another gaming PC that fits your budget that's from NewEgg. Now if you don't care buying from NewEgg or from Amazon or wherever you want to buy it from, then down below in the description you will have a gaming PC for every type of budget. So if your budget is not on this list but also you don't care if it's from NewEgg, then down below in the description you will have your answer. Without more to say, let's start with the list. Now with the first PC I have a gaming desktop that I actually don't like that much, and I'll explain why I recommend you buying other options. But first I gotta say that this PC it's upgradable, it has integrated graphics, and if you buy this PC you're supposed to put a graphics card down the line if you don't have the money to right now. And I'm not talking about the highest end graphics card, I'm talking about a GPU like the GTX 1660 Super, maybe like a 3060, like a 1080p orientated graphics card. So because of that power supply, it's a 550 watts 80 plus bronze power supply, so if you want to put a 3090 in the future, then don't buy this PC. This one has the Ryzen 5 5600G with integrated graphics, then you get 16 gigs of RAM of DDR4, of course, at 3000 MHz and 500 GB of NVMe SSD. Now overall for 1080p gaming, now it's decent, you will be able to average around 60 frames per second at 1080p in the proper settings in some of the games, but if you're planning on playing games like Red Dead Redemption 2, then don't even think about it. This PC is not meant to play games like that as of right now without a graphics card, and I actually recommend you buying a PC build for this price if you want something that's upgradable. Now if you want something with a GPU, I will recommend going with an OEM system. I have a whole video explaining what that is, but basically going with a PC like the HP Pavilion that has a way better hardware for the price. It's not upgradable, but for performance right now it's going to be way better. So if you don't care about performance right now, you want something upgradable, then this PC is actually a good option. But keep in mind that in a PC build you can get a better PC than this one that's upgradable as well. So the only time that I recommend you buying this PC is if you don't want to build it by yourself and you want something upgradable, you don't care about performance right now. Of course it's not going to be the most terrible experience that you will ever have at 1080p, but if you get a gaming PC with a dedicated graphics card, it's going to make more sense at this price point. Then the next one, at $1,300 we have the ABS Master Gaming PC. Now this one is actually pretty good, I actually recommend you buying this one. It has the RTX 3060, 16 gigs of RAM at 3000 MHz and 500 gigs of M.2 SSD. You actually get a really similar PC in terms of specifications as the last one. The Ryzen 5 5600G and the i5 11400F are actually really similar for gaming. Here you get the RTX 3060. This is not an integrated graphics card, of course. This is a dedicated GPU and it's going to be great for 1080p gaming. You will be able to run everything you throw at it at least at 60 frames per second. Now in games like Valorant, you will be able to average more than 240 FPS, and this is really important if you want to get a monitor that's 240 Hz for esports titles. Now you also get that front mesh panel, so the airflow is actually going to be pretty decent. The CPU cooler doesn't seem really promising, but again it's the i5 11400F. At the end you don't need a high-end CPU cooler, but it's an upgrade that you should keep in mind if you want to do any upgrades to this PC. But overall I think this is a really good buy if you want to play at 1080p with a 144 or a 240 Hz monitor. I would go at least with this PC if you want to do that. Now with the next one you have my favorite gaming PC of the list because of the value that this one has, and we have the Skytech Blaze 3.0 gaming desktop. This one has the i7 11700F for the CPU, a really good CPU. Of course I would like to see the i7 12th gen, but the price is $1,500 and you're already getting an i7 with an RTX 3060 Ti. Now this combination is going to be great, and this is what I call a great combination for 1440p. This is the most budget gaming desktop that you can get to play at 1440p 60 FPS on average in basically every single game. Like I said before, for esports title it's going to be more with the proper settings, but in general this one it's for 1440p 60 FPS on average and on a budget. $1,500 for a gaming PC with this combination is great. But not only that, you also get of course 16 gigs of RAM, 3200 MHz, you get 1 TB of NVMe SSD, and you get a 240mm all-in-one liquid cooler for the CPU, and you also get get that front mesh panel, so the airflow is actually going to be great, and for the price that you're paying, I think is my favorite one on the list, and it's actually the one that I recommend you buying if you don't want to spend more than $1,500. The next one is actually really similar. I would say it's actually the same gaming PC with a different GPU and a different case. This one is from Skytech as well. It has the i7-11700F, but the difference here is that you get the RTX 3070 instead of the RTX 3060 Ti, and you also get a better case, so you get better airflow overall. But for the price that you're paying, $1,900, I don't think it's worth the price difference. I would go with the RTX 3060 Ti instead of the 3070 version, because you end up saving $400 that you can spend on a monitor, or you can spend it on anything else, but at the end of the day you're saving $400, and the difference between the 3060 Ti and the 3070 is not going to be as much as you think, especially if you're spending $400 more. I think that if you would spend $100 more, then that would make more sense, but if you're spending $400 more, I don't think it makes any sense. I would go with the 3060 Ti, but if for some reason you wanted the 3070, then this one is the right PC for you, and it's going to be great for 1440p, and actually it's going to be really good for 4K gaming on a budget. Of course, don't expect to run Red Dead Redemption 2 on 4K ultra settings at 100 FPS, but you will be able to run this game high settings, 60 FPS on average, so that's something really nice for the price that you're paying. So for me, it's actually a really good deal, but again, wouldn't recommend buying this one since you can get a really similar PC for $400 less than this. The next one is $2,200, and this one is from ABS, the Gladiator gaming desktop. This one has the i7-12700KF, which is way better than the i7-11700F. You get the same RTX 3070, 16 gigs of RAM and 1TB of SSD. Really similar to the one that I showed you before, but here you get a way better CPU. So if you're going to get an upgrade from the 3060 Ti version, you should go ahead and buy this one instead of the last one, because here you get a CPU-GPU combination upgrade, where on the other PC you only get the GPU upgrade for $400 more expensive, but here you also get that i7 12th gen, which makes more sense considering that there's a huge difference between these two CPUs. The i7 11th gen and the 12th gen is going to be way better for multitasking and streaming, so if you want to do streaming with one PC at 1440p or even 4K, this PC is actually going to be the right one for you if you decide to buy from Newegg. The only downside for this PC is the case. You don't get a front mesh panel, so the airflow is not going to be as great as the Skytech PCs, but you still get the 240mm all-in-one liquid cooler for the CPU, and you also get 3 fans on the front, so overall the airflow is not going to be bad. It's going to be really decent, but it could be better with a better airflow case. And with the last one, we have the super high-end gaming desktop. If you want the best of the best because maybe you're a content creator, or maybe you just want to play at the highest settings, because some people need the best of the best, I think this one is the right one for you if you're going to buy from Newegg. This one is $4,200. It's really expensive, but you get the Ryzen 9 5900X for the CPU, you get the RTX 3090 for the GPU, basically the best GPU out there on the market, and it's actually really expensive. You get 1TB of Gen 4 SSD, 32 gigs of RAM at 3600 MHz with RGB, of course. You get 1000 watts gold power supply for future upgradability, so if you want to upgrade the GPU or the CPU down the line, this 1000 watts gold power supply is going to help you with that. You also get a 360mm all-in-one liquid cooler, which is better than the 240 that I mentioned before. You get 6 fans in total, this amazing case for the airflow, so overall you're getting a beast, but of course you're spending $4,200. So if you're going to buy this PC, first of all ask to yourself if you really need it, because you can get a gaming PC that's going to perform great for a lower price. Of course, if you want the best of the best, this one is going to be the right option, but I think that you're spending too much for a gaming PC that you may not need. Maybe you're just about gaming and you don't need a 3090 and a Ryzen 9 for gaming. You can get away with the i7 12th gen and a 3070 or a 3070 Ti, and you're not going to notice that big of a difference since the max refresh rate that you can go with, it's 360Hz for a monitor, and both of these PCs, the i7 version versus the Ryzen 9 and the 3090, are going to be more than capable of running video games at 360 FPS on average, especially those esports titles that you're aiming to play if you're going to buy one of these monitors. So if you found this video helpful, leave a like and subscribe, and most importantly hit the bell button so you get notified when I upload this type of content. Now if you're still picking between a PC builder and a Prebuilt PC, I have a whole video around it that you can go watch in the top right of the screen, and it's really important for you to see it because maybe by building a PC build you're getting a better deal. Of course, in some cases Prebuilt PCs are better, but you have to watch the video to really see what's the difference and which one is the right choice for you. Thank you guys for watching, thank you for the support, and I will see you on the next one.